You wouldn't believe the speeds he's driven. You wouldn't believe the forces he endures. You wouldn't believe the pressure he faces every day. You wouldn't believe the sacrifices he's made. You wouldn't believe he's 15 years old. You wouldn't believe it, but he does.
Two rounds gone, 3 to go, and the 2016 Toyota Racing Series has seen 4 winners from 6 races. But one driver has dominated qualifying. The youngest ever world car champion is here, following in the footsteps of Clark, Hill and Moss to try and put his name on the most prestigious trophy in New Zealand motorsport, the New Zealand Motor Cup. This is the 2016 Toyota Racing Series. This week, the series moves north to Hampton Downs Circuit, 50 minutes south of Auckland, besides the Waikato River. The circuit changed ownership in 2015, and a huge injection of capital has seen completion of the pit lane complex and work well underway on the new 1.2-kilometre club circuit, with its own pit lane. When completed, this will join the existing circuit to form a 3.8-kilometre track and add another 4 corners. Work is underway on an adjoining kart sport track, an off-road circuit and a world-class motoring museum. For now though, the Toyota Racing Series will use the existing 2.7-kilometre circuit. A sweeping 4th gear downhill right-hander sets the cars up for the hard braking into the 4-turn complex, including the hairpin with its 8-metre downhill drop. Then a straight to the final turn, another long right-hand sweeper before the track climbs steeply to the finish line. At round 2 in Invercargill, weather played a part as the drivers came to grips with the track and its formidable high-speed loop. Johan Derubala backed up his round 1 win with another in race 1, fending off a big challenge from Lando Norris of Great Britain. Anthony Patak of Poland struck problems from the front row in race 2, allowing Pedro Piquet of Brazil to take the lead, but he was challenged all the way to the flag by championship leader Lando Norris. Piquet taking the win though, his first in international motorsport. Race 3 and Piquet was involved in a lap 1 4-car incident. Guan Yu Zhou of China spun mid-pack. At the restart, Brendan Leach of New Zealand pushed Norris hard as he defended against Artem Markelov of Russia. Then India's Derubala spun out on the first corner and Norris went on to take win number 2. So Norris leads on 380 points, Markelov of Russia 34 points behind in second, just 3 points separate Habsburg third and Leach in fourth, and Zhou of China moves to 5th place, Derubala in 6th. Lando Norris of Britain came to New Zealand as a world karting champion and British Formula 4 champion, but he's already seeing the benefits of the intensive 5-week Toyota Racing Series.
It's been a really enjoyable experience so far, obviously meeting a whole load of new people, getting to go on some different tracks compared to usual. I think a bit of everything, to be honest, I've learned. Obviously a bit of racecraft. I think I've managed to step up my game in qualifying. Generally I've been pretty good at that. I was good last year, but obviously 4 out of 4 at the moment, so I think a bit of everything overall, which should and hopefully help me back in Europe. Well, racing drivers was a fair bit more experience. Obviously, it's pretty cool and different. Obviously, Arta mainly is from GP2, so he's got a lot of knowledge. He was here last year, and obviously PK some fairly big names in this as well. So, you know, there's a few things which I can learn off of them, which will give me experience or help me in the near future. Yeah, I think it's good and enjoyable to race against people with quite a bit more experience. 2016, I'm going to be with Joseph Kaufman Racing in Formula Renault 2 Litre, doing Euro Cup and NEC Championship, and then on top of that, the BRDC F4 back in England, which is a bit of a step up from Formula Renault, which is a bit different. Obviously, back in Europe, and the UK, so I'll be travelling a fair bit.
In the corporate world of motorsport, there's very little space for individual flair. But when it comes to being unique, a driver's helmet is where they show where they stand out from the pack.
Hi, I'm Devlin, racing in the TRS with Giles Motorsport. This is my new helmet painted by Clever Designs. It's a Bell HP7 carbon. You have my sponsor on the front, obviously. Generation Ganassi is the new, very big young driver program that Chip Ganassi has launched. Orange and blue have always sort of been my main colours, so I've always sort of had those from the start of my career, and I think that's what designates me from the other drivers.
This is my helmet and RI GP6. My design I've kept right from go-karts. I chose a yellow design partly because of my Formula One hero Lewis Hamilton, and then I chose the green and red as colours that I thought would stand out. The main thing for me is to have a helmet that's very easily identified and is part of my identity.
Hi, this is my helmet. It's a Bell HP7. Most of it is just my national symbols. At the top I have the Polish flag. At the back there's the eagle, which is a Polish national symbol. This symbol which the Polish people used during the World War II. So it's very patriotic.
Yeah, my helmet's quite unique. It's a pretty simple design. It's a Stilo STF5. It kind of looks a little bit like Captain America. I thought it'd be kind of a cool design to go for with all the international competition. And I had the help of Clever Designs, and he was super helpful with getting me to sorting out all my bad ideas and kind of finishing up on this one.
Coming up, Norris takes pole for race 1, but Pedro Piquet breaks the stranglehold to take race 3 pole. The grid for race 1 sees Norris in pole, Daruvala alongside him. Then it's Zhou and Piquet 3rd and 4th, then Munro and Markelov. Cockerton and Leach, the 2 Kiwis. Then Habsburg and Patak in 9th and 10th. La Liberté and Hanses in 12th. Di Francesco and Bruno Baptista. De Pero and Owen. Theo Bean and Rodrigo Baptista. And Timothy Beret at the back. Start of race 1 at Hampton Downs, and as always, a little bit of drama. What's going on?
Yeah, we just discovered a small problem with Nicholas's steering column, electrical fault in that. We're just trying to change it, but it's proving a little difficult at the moment.
How about the rest of the boys?
No, everyone else is good, so we hope for a clean start and do some clean racing. We try and get this thing out as soon as we can.
De Pero then will start from the pits. In pole position on the left-hand side is Norris. His teammate Daruvala alongside. They both get a good clean start. Munro goes onto the grass for a moment there. He too gets away well. Into the first corner here at Hampton Downs. Around the outside goes Leach. Work to do for the 2 Kiwis, but it's Norris, Daruvala and Piquet slotting into 3rd place. Markelov, and the number 10, the Russian, in 4th position as they head through 3. On board with Habsburg through 3. Heading down towards the tight right-hander, down through the gearbox into 2nd gear here. Habsburg trying to make up position. He's got Cockerton in front of him, but it's Norris who leads into the hairpin for the first time. Good lunge by Brendan Leach on the inside of the hairpin to get through on Guan Yu Zhou. And the man who started in 9th position is moving up the board. And of course started the weekend 4th in the championship. Brendan Leach had a great weekend last time out at home in Invercargill and wants to turn Hampton Downs into a similar weekend, but he's got work to do. But he's already made one good pass as they come across the line here again. And side by side, Timothy Beret and Devlin Di Francesco as we go on board with Taylor Cockerton. The Kiwi turning into turn 1, but he's very wide and too wide. Off he goes. Somehow gathers it all together, but look how many places he's lost. 3, maybe 4 places. Bruno Baptista going through as well. So Cockerton loses out to several places as he goes through turn 3. And back with Brendan Leach in the number 86, still ahead of Guan Yu Zhou. Good battle between these two. And the field starting to spread out into the hairpin again. At At the front, it's Lando Norris of Great Britain who leads the championship and the first race here at Hampton Downs, looking for his third win in the series and to extend that championship lead. Just behind Habsburg, the man from Quebec, Camille Laliberté, who will compete in the German Formula 4 Series in 2016. Through the gears and back up the hill. Flat out, fifth gear, up to sixth as they cross the line. Leach and Joe still going at it. Joe goes to the outside, but Leach knows this track better than any. Holds the line, the better racing line into turn one and holds the position. Back with Habsburg, and he's just behind Joe, who goes wide and jinks wide. And that gives Habsburg his chance. How things can change quickly here. Habsburg didn't need a second invitation as they go through three. Habsburg is through. And now he goes in pursuit of Leach. Well, what a turnaround. Joe was looking to make a pass, and it went horribly wrong. And through goes Patak in the number 67. Losing out is Laliberté, and as they come towards the hairpin, here comes Devlin Di Francesco on the inside. Big lunge. Two Canadians side by side. Something's got to give, and it is Laliberté. And Devlin, well, very aggressive manoeuvre. Luckily, Laliberté has recovered, but he's lost several places and will go right to the back after that incident. And it's not over, because Cockerton's now involved with Devlin Di Francesco. Ray just behind them. Here's another look at the start. Monroe, as you can see, goes to the grass for a moment to try and gain position, but then gets blocked on the inside. The man who lost the most, though, starting from third, Guan Yu Zhou, first of all gets overtaken by Piquet, then Markelov, and on the inside, Monroe as well. So not a good start by the Chinese, dropping several places, having started third. And look at this, from the back, a brilliant start. First Baptista, then the two Americans, Theo Bean and William Owen. And Timothy Buret is off to the races from the back and slots in behind the other Brazilian, Bruno Baptista. Bean trying to come back at him then. Here is Devlin Di Francesco on Laliberté at the hairpin, and that was very aggressive, and he knocks Laliberté wide and recovers himself. And really, poor old Cammy in the wars at the start of this one. Taken out of the race. Back with Norris, Derouvallé, Piquet, Markelov and Monroe. That's the top five. And Norris pulling away from his teammate Indian. They've been teammates since they started in karts and will be again in 2016. Good relationship between these two. And when Norris won the World Karting Championship, it was Jahan Daruvala who was in third. So they know each other's game all too well as we go on board with the Indian from Mumbai, and that's the gap as they head down towards the long, long right-hander here at Hampton Downs. Perfect conditions for racing, and you can see as they dive in here, third gear, and just at the exit, through the gearbox up to fourth gear, getting all the power on. Fifth gear now, up to 200k as they cross the line, and then as they dive towards the first corner, you can see it now, 216, 217, almost 222. And that's how fast the first corner is, down to fourth gear. So easy to get the back end out from turn one, then down to turn two. A dab on the brakes into second gear here, tight. Then trying to get on the power as early as possible to power through three, into third, up to fourth for a moment, then down through the gearbox again into second for the tight right-hander, and up the hill, blind brow towards the hairpin, second gear, third gear for a moment, then back through the gearbox into second gear here, tight turn in, down to first gear, then hard on the power again, through the gearbox again, and that gives you an illustration of what it's like to do a lap just over a minute, sometimes under in qualifying of Hampton Downs, but it's a busy minute, that's for sure. Guan Yu Zhou trying to recover, he's got Habsburg in front of him, a lock up from Patak, who's got number 25, Baptista, number 25, Bruno Baptista, the two cousins, remember, Rodrigo and Bruno. Both racing in the series in different teams. We go on board with Bruno. And he's got Patak in front of him. He jigs to the outside as they cross the line. Flat out through here. They're side by side, and Bruno might not be in the best of positions. He tries to turn back in, has to give away and hold the line, but he has to go wide because there's a car on the inside. So big moment there for Baptista. But somehow he gets through and holds on. And it was, once again, Di Francesco. What a race he's had so far. And Baptista stays behind Patak and will try to build another attack. And Devlin Di Francesco now looking to see if he can get past the Brazilian. Back with the leaders as Norris goes through. He's built that gap up to Derouvallé to over a second and a half now in the closing stages. Piquet still third, Markelov fourth, and Monroe trying to hold off Leach. Good battle between the Kiwis. throughout this race, and Leach, of course, starting the day in 4th position. On to the last lap then. The gap exactly 1.5 seconds as Lando Norris will try to make no mistakes on this last lap. And Daruvala will keep him honest all the way for sure. Piquet trying to hold off Markelov in the closing stages. Markelov always good at the end of races, the GP2 man. But what can you say about Lando Norris? He started the weekend 34 points clear of those chasing him, and they're still chasing him, but now he's extended that lead, 75 points for a win. Daruvala will follow him home in 2nd place as they come out of the hairpin. Back with Markelov, and Markelov's in trouble. Habsburg goes through at the right-hand of turn 4. And he's not got full power at all, you can see from the graphic, and he's losing time. And Zhou goes through. Guan Yu Zhou is also overtaking him, and Markelov slowing dramatically here. What a shame for the Russian, but back into top gear goes Lando Norris as he comes up the hill to claim his 3rd victory of the Toyota Racing Series. He takes the checkered flag, and the gap 1.5 seconds to his teammate Daruvala in 2nd place. Pedro Piquet is a distant 3rd, but that's important points for him. And confirmation of the result then, Norris, Daruvala, Piquet, Munro, Leach, Habsburg 6, Joe, Patak, Bruno Baptista, Cockington, Di Francesco, Artem Markelov crossed the line in 12th position. Good recovery by Timothy Beret of France to go to 13th, Julian Hanses 14th, Rodrigo Baptista in 15th, Will Owen in 16th, Camille Liberté in 17th, Theo Bean 18th, De Pero at the back.
More points is obviously the way to go, but yeah, thanks to M2 again for a great car. But yeah, obviously good day overall. 1 pole, a 2nd, and another win. So, you know, my aim is to keep up like this, basically.
And I made a massive mistake on 1 lap. I almost spun into the last corner, and I lost a 2nd, another 2nd on top of that. And then I just try to keep pushing as hard as I can. And I did a 60.5, which was fastest lap. And I was really pushing hard. Lando's pace at the front was strong. And it took the most out of me to come 2nd.
Theo Bean of the USA is the oldest driver at 23, but the college student from the University of Georgia has a rather unusual path to the Toyota Racing Series.
First car that I ever raced, the exception of Skip Barber, was a 1959 Aston Martin DB4. So definitely not anything like this or anything close, really. This is definitely a pretty high up series for me to be with my experience level. I was kind of thrown into the fire, but yeah, I wanted to just go up against the best and see where I could hang and learn as much as I could in such a short amount of time. I get 15 races in a little less than 2 months, so I really can't beat that for quantity and the amount of time. These cars are just so much lighter than anything that I've ever raced before. You can brake later. They're more nimble. They're also a lot more nervous than some of these cars, but it's definitely a really cool thing to try and learn and get a hang of. Trying to do my best, and hopefully I'll get there.
Coming up, it's a reverse grid for race 2, and Lando Norris pulls the number 8 from the hat. Can he come through the pack to score another win? Jahan Daruvala is a young Indian on the fast track to Formula One, having already been picked up by Sahara Force India at just 17 years of age. He carries the colours of the Indian F1 team here in New Zealand and is determined to bring them success in the series.
It's an awesome privilege to be part of the Formula One team, but like many people have got their eyes on you because the name's on the car. The media's normally quite all over you. And the best you could do is just drive the best you can, try to forget about it when you're on track. I don't think about it much anyways when I'm out there. I just drive the best I can and try to deliver the results. Force India have been awesome help to me so far, and I hope to drive for them one day in Formula One. I've driven a Renault for a year already. There was quite similarities between this car and the Renault. It's got 6 gears, which is different to a Renault. And it's got a long first gear, which is quite good. It took time to get used to the torque and stuff in the first round, but since I got used to it, the pace is becoming better. The team's been great to work with. They're really professional and organized. The whole series is amazing. They're very organized, and you got lots of time on track to learn the tracks. A lot of seat time, which is valuable for a racing driver. And I think it's one of the best series you can do when you're off season, to learn and prepare for the seasons coming. The key to racing is always qualifying. So I've been working on my speed and my starts. The speed's been improving. We've been in the top 5 consistently these past few days. Lando's been a bit quicker than me. My goal is to try to put the car on the front row and then hopefully have a good start and have the victory. My target is to just do the best I can race by race. I'm not really thinking about the championship at all.
Reverse top 8 for race 2 sees Patak on pole and Zhou alongside him. Then it's Habsburg and Leach, 3rd and 4th. Monroe and Piquet, 5th and 6th. Daruvala and Norris, race 1 winner in 8th. Bruno Baptista and Taylor Cockerton. Di Francesco and Markelov. Then Beret and Hannes. Baptista and Owen. La Liberté and Theo Bean, and De Pero at the back.
Well, Mark, M2 have dominated so far, but it's a tough one, race 2, because you've got one on the front row with Zhou, and you've also got, of course, Lando further back with Daruvala.
It makes it tricky. You know, Zhou needs to win here to take points for himself, but also protect the others. Lando just simply needs to drive. It doesn't matter if he's 10th. And you've got Artem coming from 12th, who needs big points after yesterday. It's going to be a nervous race.
Fingers crossed.
Thanks.
Here we go then. Race 2. Patak on the inside. Zhou on the outside. Zhou got away better. Good start from Leach. Onto the grass for a moment from Daruvala. Jostling for position, but it is Guan Yuzhou of China who leads through the first corner. Good start from Brendan Leach, and he's already up on Patak. Challenging at turn 2. Can't quite do it. Very aggressive start by the man from Invercargill. But he slots into 3rd place. Patak holds on to 2nd. Zhou trying to build on that lead as they head up the hill after 4. Markelov right in the thick of it in the midfield. Leach looks to the inside and really putting some aggressive moves on Patak early on. Desperate to get on level terms and try and win a race. On board with Will Owen as they head down the back straight with the American. He's a college student in Texas right now, but he's doing his own masterclass in racing here in New Zealand in these last few weeks as we go on board through the long right-hander with Timothy Beret of France, who up the inside is overtaken by the number 13, Rodrigo Baptista. Great move by the Brazilian as we come up to finish the lap. Will Owen crosses the line. Good start by the American. And Brendan Leach under pressure now. And good clean start. Leach trying to hold off Habsburg. Leach in the yellow and black 86, Habsburg in the number 62. Habsburg got off the boil slightly after that early season lead, and he really desperately wants to get back on song. A lot of high hopes for the Austrian, who came here last year as a rookie. This is his 2nd year in the championship, and Leach, of course, now trying to just do a full season, although he's been around this series for a while and certainly knows the circuits here in New Zealand, having been a Formula Ford exponent as well as a TRS man. Leach probably got more miles than anyone else in the field right now, and he's certainly making them count here at Hampton Downs. On board now with fellow Kiwi James Monroe of Christchurch up the hill. Monroe getting some help from another former great, Mitch Evans, the GP2 man, who's been here this weekend. And Mitch trying to give him some advice as the safety car comes out, and it certainly helped. Monroe fastest in one of the sessions, and he's just looked a little bit sharper. And I asked him what it was, and he said a few tweaks here and there and a few different lines. That's all it took. But more importantly, it was a confidence builder to have someone like Mitch Evans, who knows what he's going through, helping him out. Taylor Cockerton's got his dad doing exactly that, and it was De Pero again in trouble. Here's another look at the start. De Pero started at the back, and Daruvala, you see, hitting the grass for a moment. Here's the onboard of Brendan Leach from the 2nd row. Got away very well, decides to go the insides, decides there's no room, goes to the outside, then doesn't want to get hung out to dry. Daruvala looks to The outside, then the inside, and blocked by Monroe. Hits the grass for a moment. Baptiste comes past and loses several places, does that overlap. And through, and likewise, Markeloff round the outside. Very brave maneuver. And here's what happened to De Pero coming up towards turn 3. Just a little tap there at De Pero. That's all it took. We saw that in race 1. Only needs a slight hit, and you're out. Safety car is out then at Hampton Downs. Race 2. The halfway point of the Toyota Racing Series. Taupo and Manfield still to come on the feature race, the New Zealand Motor Cup, as Leach gets a great restart. And Joe leads them away, but Leach is the man who gained the most as we go back to green. Leach up to second place, a big fight for third place, and Norris is at the back of it, on board with Piquet. Oh, they touch! He and Habsburg came together for a moment there. Piquet will try to go through, and does so. Great stuff by the Brazilian to take third place. So the leaderboard is Joe, Leach, Piquet, Habsburg, and Patak. That's the top 5. What a frenetic start. Habsburg up to 4th place, and for a moment held 3rd, but Piquet beat him to it at turn 2, and another spin. Oh, and off goes Markeloff. Nasty crash, and that will surely bring out the safety again, and there was a couple of cars involved there. Markeloff at the back of it took avoiding action and then spun round and hit the wall. So all sorts of drama here in race 2, and the championship hotting up now. The points, every one of them counting, and Lando Norris going very wide there. What's happened to Lando? Lando's got a problem. He's got damage to the car. He was involved in that incident. Lando Norris is going slow. He jigs to the inside. Yes, he's going into the pits. This is disaster for the championship leader, Lando Norris, who came together in that incident with this man, number 40, James Monroe. So Markeloff, Monroe, and Norris involved in that one. The safety car is out. Can they fix it in time? Damage, it looks like, to the rear suspension and to the front of Monroe's car. In comes Norris. These are really tough moments for him. The race is red flagged. Can Norris get back out? They're going to work. You can see that the Michelin man is there checking the tyres. But there's a bent suspension to the left rear of Norris's car. He waits to see if he can get out. Here's what happened as we go on board with Markeloff. Norris turns in. Monroe's on the outside. Just touched there. Markeloff takes avoiding action, and into the barrier he goes and breaks his suspension. Monroe, let's look at it. Yeah, he had nowhere to go. Norris just touched him. It was a tough one, really. Norris is back out. They may well penalise the young Brit for that incident, but he gets back out at the back for the restart of this one. And Guan Yu Zhou will have to do it all again. Leach, though, tries to get alongside. Good restart by Leach. Even better start from Piquet. Piquet up the inside, looking for the lead now. Pedro Piquet slots into second place behind Zhou. Brilliant restart by the Brazilian. But Leach isn't done. He comes side by side with Piquet as they head under the bridge towards turn 2. Great stuff by Brendan Leach. Breaks as late as he dare and goes into second place ahead of Pedro Piquet. Excellent restart by Brendan Leach. He almost lost second place, but just wouldn't be denied. And as they head out of 4, things starting to settle down. And Norris at the back, and that could change things in the championship. There's Habsburg, who's still in contention, very much so. And every point will matter now. The feature race coming up. And Guan Yu Zhou looking for his first win. He could put himself back into contention with a victory here in race 2. He's been very consistent as the Chinese. We go back on board with Ferdinand Habsburg of Austria. Through the gearbox and across the line. Real confidence about the young Austrian and his racecraft at the moment. And here is your leaderboard. Zhou, Leach, Piquet, the top 3. Then Habsburg, who we were on board with in 4th place. Daruvala is behind him. So Habsburg will be pushing on, but he's got to be wary that the Indian, who's been so good so far this season, is right behind him. Habsburg, though, putting big pressure now on Piquet as they come out of turn 4, up the hill and towards the hairpin. He's not close enough, though, to have a lunge, though, at the hairpin, and will just stay behind the Brazilian and try to get good drive out of here and maybe look to the inside of the next corner. On board with Theo Bean now. He's under pressure. Hanses, the German, gets past the American. So well done to Julian Hanses, and Theo Bean may have lost another position. Holds on to the inside. And it's Munro on the outside trying to get past the American. But Theo Bean, the vintage sports car man who's come to single-seaters from a different route than most, is holding his own. And certainly, as the weeks have gone on, Theo Bean's racecraft getting better and better as we go on board with James Munro, who's got the pace, does he, going into turn one. Good, brave manoeuvre by the man from Christchurch to get past Theo Bean and make up another spot. And Munro needs these points. He was one of the contenders early on, and he's dropped off a little bit. Better showing here at Hampton, but he wants to finish it off on a high. Norris makes a pass, but really it's for nowhere. He's still very much at the back after being in the pits for so long. On board with Rodrigo Baptista, and ironically, he's chasing his cousin Bruno. What a battle between these two. Bruno Baptista in the 25, just ahead of Rodrigo. And that's a little bit of family pride. On board with Bruno Baptista. Out of the long right-hander in third gear, up to fourth. And changing through, Bruno Baptista has aspirations of Formula One. His cousin Rodrigo looking towards the sports car avenue for his future in motor racing. Guan Yu Zhao, though, has definitely got his future marked out because Ferrari Academy have picked him as their driver this year. And so many good drivers. Lance Stroll last year came here and dominated. He was an Academy driver. Rafael Marciello a few years before. Marciello will be teammate to Markelov this season, coming up in 2016 in GP2. So, will this man be China's big hope to get a Ferrari slot in Formula One? Well, he's starting it off well with a possible victory, unless Leach has anything to say here at Hampton Downs. He's been consistent, has Guan Yu Zhao. His whole family are here from Shanghai to watch him do it. And this has been the perfect race so far. Remember, they started with the reverse grid. Patak in pole position, Zhou alongside, but Zhou took the start, and he hasn't looked back since. They crossed the line again. Daruvala has got past Hatzberg. Hatzberg now trying to chase him down on the last lap. A 101.37 on that last lap by Hatzberg, so he's still going strong lap time-wise, but Daruvala has got past. And, of course, Jahan Daruvala, with 2 wins under his belt, is very much in contention, just as Hatzberg is. So this is a good battle for points, but time running out. And Hatzberg, if he's going to get past, is going to have to do something big here. Turn 4. Into the hairpin go the leaders. Leach ominously close to Guan Yu Zhao. The young 16-year-old from mainland China looking for an historic victory for his career. He's been on the podium, but the man who was runner-up in the 2015 Italian Formula 4 Championship is headed towards the checkered flag here at Hampton Downs for a famous victory. Guan Yu Zhou comes to the line and wins race 2 here at Hampton Downs to put himself in contention. Leach gets great points for second place, and across the line in third comes Piquet yet again. Confirmation of the result then, Guan Yu Zhou in first place ahead of Brendan Leach second, Piquet third, Daruvala fourth, Patak, La Liberté, Baptista, Cockerton, Habsburg, Owen, Munro and Theo Bean round out the top 12. A little further down sees Devlin Di Francesco 13th, Rodrigo Baptista 14th, Beret of France 15th, then Hanses of Germany 16th. Lando Norris did score points, Markelov and DePero DNF.
It's really a hard race because I got a good start and got away, and after the 2 safety car didn't help, and especially the last one was really close, but managed to look forward, they got a nice gap. So really happy to win my first race in Toyota Racing Series.
The car was amazing to drive. I got a demon start into third spot, and then the first safety car restart really helped me. You know, the Victory boys have done a fantastic job this weekend with the car. I know I'm a bit annoyed that I couldn't do it from yesterday morning in qualifying, but to get the result today, and I'll move up to second in the championship. It's a great step forward, and now I'm definitely trying to press on for the championship win.
Coming up, we meet the boys from Brazil, and the race is on to win the most prestigious trophy in New Zealand motor racing, the New Zealand Motor Cup. For Brazilians, family is everything. And this year, the series has two Brazilian cousins racing against each other on the track, and both have their families here to watch them do battle. But Rodrigo and Bruno Baptista have raced each other before growing up, like every Brazilian, it seems, racing karts.
We race in go-kart for 2 years. We race together.
Sometimes I won, sometimes he won. It's very competitive. It's so hard to Brazilian drivers because it's a more responsibility, because have a Senna, Piquet, is a good drivers, and I come to other country and the guys, he's a Brazilian guy, and they think they're stronger guy or is good pilot.
I raced just 1 year in motorsport, and here have 19 drivers, but only the best drivers, and for me it's very good.
For me, my dream is drive the Formula 1 car in Interlagos, because for me my favorite circuit in the world, and it's very nice.
I'm raced in Interlagos last year. For me it's the best track I ever raced, and I want to go there more times, but I don't know, because in DTM or some GT cars I don't have a race in Brazil.
The grid then for the feature race sees Piquet on pole, Deruval alongside, Monroe and Zhou on row 2, Habsburg and Markelov 5 and 6, then La Liberté and Lando Norris knocked to 8th, Cockerton 9th, Patak, Leach and Di Francesco, then Will Owen and Bruno Baptista, Timothy Beret and Rodrigo Baptista, Theo Bean, Julian Hanses and Nicolas De Pero at the back.
Well, this is Pedro's first pole position of the year. What have you told him before the start of the race?
Just told him that the most important is to try to pass the first two corners in first position, so the start is fundamental, and after that just to keep in control of the race and the guy behind him.
Good advice from his race engineer. Piquet in pole, looking for his second race win from the start. It's Pedro Piquet who leads the feature race, the famous New Zealand Motor Cup. Great start from Theo Bean, comes past his fellow American Will Owen on the inside and slots in behind Baptista, the South American. Good clean start. Monroe up to second place. Deruvala dropping to third. Everybody sweeping through turn 2 and turn 3. Owen in trouble again. This time, De Pero just puts him off and sends him wide, but he keeps his head. Good driving by Will Owen of the United States of America, the Pro Master man, and good start from Norris. He's right behind Zhou. Norris, who was dropped to 8th position, remember, after that penalty from race 1, 6 points in all on his license, and that dropped him from the front row at the start of this feature race. And now he's battling for a top 5, top 4 finish, and he's right behind race 2 winner, Guan Yu Zhou. So Norris desperate to finish his Hampton Downs weekend on a high. Had to start 2 races from 8th position after winning the first race, on board with Ferdinand Habsburg just behind that battle. Oh, and Norris goes wide. Markelov will pounce. Norris made a mistake in turn 1. Clouds looming in the distance, and Habsburg trying to get back on level terms with Norris. But Norris only loses 1 place there, and Markelov jumps up to 4th position behind Guan Yu Zhou. Cockerton just ahead of 67 Patak. Good start by Theo Bean. Unlucky start by Will Owen. And Norris now goes in pursuit of Markelov here in race 3 out of the hairpin. Piquet is certainly off to the races, pulling away from James Monroe of Christchurch. Norris still there. And Norris, of course, now thinking about his championship lead, which had never been in doubt until this moment. Here's a look at the start. Piquet did exactly what his engineer asked. Got away well, kept his man on the front row behind him. Leach got away well, was side by side with Patak and behind Taylor Cockerton at the start. And then just gets balked a little. Holds position, does the ITM man. Beret got away well. First of all, came alongside Will Owen. In the middle of the road here, Through comes Theo Bean, and a Captain America move up the inside, and right behind him following through, Rodrigo Baptista of Brazil. Top 5 then, Piquet, Munro, Daruvala, Zhao and Markelov. Just behind them is your championship leader, Lando Norris of Great Britain. On board with Rodrigo Baptista, one of the only men to beat Pedro Piquet in the Formula 3 in Brazil last year. And will be racing in the Blancpain Series next year with Sergio Jimenez, who's here helping him out, in fact. And here comes another sports car driver, Theo Bean, trying his hand at single-seaters for the first time, and he goes past Julian Hanses of Germany, the young 18-year-old. And we're on board with him now, and he's on the outside, jinks to the inside, because that's the wrong place to be. But just gets the door closed on him by Bean. And Hanses will try to build again as they come back up the hill. Plenty of time, though, in this race. 20 laps compared to 15 of the other 2 races. Crossing the line now, Bean, a double sports car vintage racing national champion. But this is all new to him, this Toyota Racing Series and these very high-tech single-seaters. But the E-Tech team, Speed Group, have come together and put Theo in the car, and he's certainly equipped himself well. It's only the halfway stage, and he's just got better, and his racecraft has got better as the weeks have gone on. But it's a massive learning curve for all these youngsters. Pedro Piquet, just 16 years of age, and every time we speak, he says, I'm getting more and more comfortable with the car as the weeks progress. And of course, it's such an intense 5 weeks. Over 3,000 kilometers of racing, and that's why they come to New Zealand. They get a full season in just over a month, and that hones them brilliantly for the season ahead in Europe. And that's exactly where Piquet will be in the FIA Formula 3 Championship. And he's done everything right so far, for sure. He came here a couple of years ago and just did a couple of races, and now it's back for the full season. He's certainly now going to be vying for the championship lead as we go on board with Munro, still in contention in this race. And this is a much better showing by James Munro this weekend. You mentioned the help he had from Mitch Evans, and I think it's paying off. It's really just a confidence booster. Piquet Munro looking for that second place. He's holding off Daruvala in third place. Zhao still fourth, and Markelov still fifth. There is Norris, and just behind him, former championship leader Habsburg, the man who won the first race at Christchurch. But since then, Habsburg struggled a little bit. He's been consistent, but not really getting the podiums. But he has scored points, and that keeps him in contention. You can see the gap that Piquet has built. This is a sensational drive from Pedro Piquet. He got the start. We heard from his engineer at the start, Alessandro Bambila, and he said, just keep them behind you, get the start, and pull away, and that's exactly what he's done. Munro, though, under pressure now from Daruvala of India. And this has been Jahan's tactic. Very consistent is the Indian. And there you see on board, through the gearbox, second gear, third gear. It's just not close enough to make an attack into the right-hander here. But if he gets good drive out of it, maybe an opportunity to overtake at turn 1 and more likely turn 2 as they go back up the hill, and through that gearbox they go. It's Piquet, Munro, Daruvala, Zhao and Markelov. It hasn't changed. Beret looked to the inside for a moment on the number 13, Rodrigo Baptista down the long right-hander. And just behind, Hanses, oh, he overcooked it, did Hanses. Had his eye on the man in front and just went very wide, and Dean has destroyed the car. All 4 wheels in trouble there. And Julian Hanses, well, it just shows you how quickly things can go wrong. And poor old Pedro Piquet, who'd built up a superb lead. With the safety car out now, Hanses is perfectly okay and out of the car. His pride will definitely be a little hurt. Here's another look at it. Yeah, he just overcooked it on the exit of the last turn, and that's all it took. So Hanses out, and we head to the restart. Piquet's got to do it all again, and everybody jostling for position. Munro will try and get a decent start, and they're all pushing hard. Look at this! A 5-way battle for the front. Markelov, Norris included, Daruvala on the outside. It's squeezed into the middle, goes Munro. Something's got to give. Oh, what a restart! Piquet somehow holds on to the lead, and somehow Munro holds on to second. Up the inside, Guan Yu Zhou is the man who's gained the most, and he's dropping to fourth now, but he was up to third for a moment. Norris round the outside, picks up a little dust. Oh, big off! Several cars involved. Theo Bean is one of them, DePero another, and Bruno Baptista all involved in that one. All sorts of drama at the restart, and another lock-up into the hairpin goes Habsburg, manages to gather it all together. Somehow Piquet's come out unscathed, and so too Munro. Deruvala holds on to third place, and surely the safety car will be out again, but Piquet's done what he needed to do. An amazing restart. At one point, 5 wide into turn 1, and sure enough, the yellow flag comes out, and that could just about do it. Here's another look at what happened from Timothy Barret's point of view. Rodrigo Baptista tries to avoid his cousin, Bruno, who came together with the man in front. That was Patak. Somehow Barret got through and miraculously on board with Rodrigo Baptista. Yep, there's Patak, and they touched just there. That sent Bruno round, and Rodrigo headed towards the gravel, and a broken front wing as well. On board with Theo Bean is his view of it. Oh, and sure enough, Bean had nowhere to go, and he too, a damaged car. Here's a look from Bruno Baptista's point of view, and sure enough, yeah, collision with Patak, and we're still under safety, and a processional end. Not the most auspicious end to the New Zealand Motor Cup, but the 2016 winner will be Pedro Piquet, as he will engrave his name on the famous trophy. There's the checkered flag. That's Pedro's second win of the series and moves him from 7th to 2nd overall. A brilliant weekend for the young Brazilian. James Munro has redeemed himself with an excellent 2nd place. Deruvala again on the podium in 3rd. Zhou in 4th, Markelov 5th, Norris getting up to 6th place, La Liberté 7th, Habsburg, Leach, Cockerton, Patak, Di Francesco in 12th position overall, and then further back, Barret, Baptista, and DNFs for Bruno Baptista, Theo Bean, Will Owen, Nicholas DePero, and Julian Hanses. So with that second win of the series and a big point-scoring weekend, Pedro Piquet moves from 7th to 2nd overall. And the very proud Piquet family adds another famous trophy to their huge collection, the New Zealand Motor Cup.
In the beginning, we were very fast, and after that, I managed the gap. And then we had the safety car, and I said, oh, come on.
How much did your heart sink when you saw that flag?
No, actually not that much, because I knew I was faster than anyone. So I only had to make the first corner okay, then the rest will be fine. But the race was very good. I'm very happy. Each day, I'm better in this car to what I drove in Europe, and I'm very happy for the weekend.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great relief to get a podium this time. I mean, I think we've had good pace the whole championship, but now to get a reward for it is just great. And to do it in that race as well, the NZ Motor Cup, definitely means a lot. The team's done a great job. Like, the car was really fast this weekend, and I'm glad that we could get a result. It was a bit of a stressful race at the end there, after being second in relative comfort the whole way, and then having to do it all again with a 2-lap sprint after the restart, but fortunately managed to hold them off. So no, really pleased with the result.
And our Hydrolink best under pressure moment, Frenchman Timothy Barret's brilliant reactions to avoid being involved in a 4-car incident in race 3. So look at the points after 3 rounds. Norris still leads on 518. Piquet moves from 7th to 2nd with 466. Deruvala just 3 points back, and Zhou another 3 back on 460. Brendan Leach of New Zealand heads the Kiwis in 5th place. The Toyota Racing Series now heads to Taupo for round 4 as the series builds to its conclusion. Can anyone break the M2 stranglehold? Join us next time out.